All right, let's get right into it. Today we're talking about how to build your own custom tuning guide from the ground up. We're going to turn all that on-the-water data into your personal recipe book for speed.
You know the feeling, right? You're out there on the race course, you feel like you're sailing a great race, but there's always that one boat, or maybe a few boats, that just seem to find another gear. So what is their secret?
Well, here's the thing. It's almost never magic. It's not some innate feel for the boat they were born with. It's a system. It's a personalized, repeatable process that lets them dial in their boat perfectly for whatever the wind and waves are doing. It's their own recipe book for speed.
And really, that's what this whole quest for speed is about. It's not just about having one fast leg or one fast race. It's about being able to call up that speed whenever you need it. And a tuning guide, well, that's the most powerful tool you have to make that happen.
But before we can even start experimenting, we need to get one thing straight. You have to have a solid, reliable starting point, an anchor you can always return to. After all, you can't know where you're going until you know exactly where you are.
And that brings us right to step one, finding your baseline. This is all about documenting your rig's neutral, perfectly square 0 point. This is the foundation that every other adjustment is going to be built on.
So, how do you do it? Well, it boils down to 3 key measurements. First, you've got to measure your turnbuckles. You can either count the number of turns or just measure the gap between the threaded rods. Second, get a really precise reading of your shroud tension. A loose gauge is perfect for this. And finally, you're going to measure your mast rake.
And just so we're all on the same page, mast rake is really simple. It's just the fore and aft angle of your mast. The easiest way to measure it is on a super calm day. You just hang a weight from your main halyard and measure the distance from that weight to the back of your mast at deck level. It's a really critical number for the boat's balance.
Okay, so once you have all those numbers, your job is to get the rig perfectly centered and square. Write down these final measurements. This right here is your new base 0, the setting you can always come back to.
Now for the really fun part. Your baseline is set, it's documented, it's time to get out on the water and start gathering some data. This is where you get to be a scientist of speed.
Now the key here, and this is absolutely crucial, is to be methodical. Let's say you're having trouble pointing high. Don't just go and change 5 things at once. No way. Change one thing. Maybe you move the jib lead back a hole. Sail with it for a bit. Did it work? Great. Write it down. If not, put it back to where it was, and then try something else. The golden rule is simple. Change one thing at a time and write it all down.
You know, sometimes the biggest breakthroughs are total accidents. There's a great story from pro sailor George Sabo. He was at the Snipe Nationals, rounded a mark, and suddenly the boat was just pointing to the moon. It felt amazing. His crew looked down and realized they forgot to pull the outhaul back on. But instead of fixing the so-called mistake, George recognized they'd stumbled onto something faster. That setting went straight into his tuning guide.
So whether you find a go-fast setting through careful testing or just a happy accident like George, the second that boat feels locked in and fast, your job is to mark everything. Get a Sharpie and mark your halyards, your sheets, your jib tracks, write down every single number so you can get back to that exact perfect setup again and again.
Okay, this brings us to the grand finale. This is where all those little notes on scrap paper, all those Sharpie marks, this is where they become your master plan, your very own speed Bible.
And look, this isn't something you're going to build in a single day. Every single time you go sailing, you're gathering more data. As you sail in different wind speeds, different sea states, you'll be tweaking and recording. Over a season, your collection of these fast settings is going to grow into a seriously powerful tool.
And this is what it's all for, the tuning grid. This turns your mess of notes into an organized, easy-to-read guide. You just organize everything by wind speed. So think about it. You get to the race course, you see it's blowing about 10 knots. You just look at your grid, find the row for 8-12 knots, and boom, you know exactly what your shroud tension should be, where to set your jib lead, how much backstay to pull on, all of it. It takes all the guesswork out of setting up your boat. So what happens when you have a gap in your chart? You know, maybe you haven't sailed in 14 knots yet. No problem at all. A fantastic place to start is to just average the settings from the rows right above and right below it. It makes your guide useful from day one, even while you're still filling it out.
All right, before we wrap this up, I want to share a couple of insider secrets, some tips from the pros that can really accelerate your learning curve.
First off, do not be shy. Go talk to the fastest sailors in your fleet. Ask them for their rig numbers. Ask what they're doing with their trim.
You would be absolutely shocked how many top sailors are happy to share what they've learned. Bouncing ideas off another fast boat is one of the quickest shortcuts to getting faster yourself.
And this is a huge one. Always remember that the age of your sails is a massive variable. A brand new sail is flat with the shape pushed forward. It needs a totally different setup than a 2-year-old sail that's gotten deeper and fuller. You cannot use the same settings. Every time you get new sails, you need to start a fresh page in your tuning guide just for them.
So when you boil it all down, what's the ultimate goal here? The baseline, the testing, the grid, it's all about one thing. It's not just finding speed, it's about finding repeatable speed. It's about building a system so you can turn on that speed like a light switch whenever you need it.
This whole framework is designed to help you stop guessing and start knowing what makes your boat fast. So I'll leave you with one final question to think about. With all this in mind, what is the very first adjustment you're going to go out and test on your boat?